Right. So we defeated this chitin, half bug, half humanoid. Its skin is some sort of crustacean or plated, shiny, hard, and crispy. Right, so we punched this creature to shreds. Should we go deeper into the cave now? Tharra wipes the blood from her shoulder, her eyes fixed on a dark chamber ahead. That depends on you, she mutters, voice low. Serious things don't wander far from their post. If this one was guarding the path, then something worth hiding is deeper in. She steps just past the creature's corpse, blade angled toward the shadows. But deeper caves mean tighter ground and no quick escape. If we go in, we go careful, and we don't linger. The drip of water echoes further ahead, steady and hollow, suggesting the cave winds deeper into the mountain. I'll go back and hide the crystal. Tharra nods tightly at your decision. Best we don't carry that thing into whatever waits deeper in here. Too risky if it starts glowing and calling. You retrace your steps carefully out of the warm cave air, the metallic tang fading behind you. The mist outside is still thick, the clearing quiet, except for the faint drip of dew from the pines. The crystal's faint, irregular glow pulses through your pack when you retreat. Tharra glances around the cairns, her voice low. Where do you want it hidden? We need a place no one stumbles over by accident, but close enough so we can get it back if needed. To bury it, stash it among the cairns, or hide it elsewhere in the forest. Find a thick bush and dig a small hole and put the crystal inside, covering it with a layer of dirt. You find a dense thicket on the edge of the cairn clearing, its branches tangled enough to keep prying eyes away. With your hands, scrape into the damp soil until you made a hollow deep enough to conceal the crystal. The pulsing glow weakens once more as you lower it in, with the irregular light dimming to a faint shimmer beneath the earth. Layers of soil, moss, and fallen pine needles cover its floor, leaving no signs of disturbance to the casual glance. Tharra crouches nearby, scanning the misty tree line with her sword ready. Thou hold it. If you need it back, you know where to dig. Best hope no one else does the same. Let's inspect some corpses. The corpse slumps awkwardly against the damp stone. Its chitin plates cracked and splintered from your blows. Dark fluid is poured beneath it, sticky and metallic smelling. On closer inspection, you find anatomy. The plating runs across its back, shoulders, and upper arms, grown directly from pale, waxy flesh. Where the shell has cracked, you see layers of sinew binding plate to muscle. Its hands end in long, clawed fingers, though not sharpened like weapons, more like digging tools. It carries nothing, no clothing, no weapons, no satchel. This was a living sentinel, not a man in armor. Markings along its chest, beneath the plate you shattered, faint black ink symbols are scored into the flesh. They resemble jagged spirals in broken circles, smeared where blood and fluid seeped. The pattern doesn't match any standard holy or arcane mark you've seen. Tharra crouches nearby, lips tight. Not a natural thing. Someone made this, or called it here. Either way, it was bound to her service. The tunnel ahead still descends deeper, the air carrying a steep drip of water further inside. So the creature was scraping something onto the walls. Also, if it's scraping, then maybe there's something lying nearby, some items. Inspecting the chamber closely, you notice that the scraping is about along the far wall where the creature had been hunched. Deep grooves scar the damp stone. They're uneven, layered over one another. Claw marks from its long fingers dragging deliberately back and forth. Some grooves trace jagged spiral shapes, echoing the same broken circles and twisted patterns you saw inked into its chest. The scraping wasn't random. It was carving those sigils directly into the stone. Other features of the chamber. Moisture. The chamber is slick, water seeping through cracks above and dripping into small puddles. The metallic tangs stronger here, mingling with the earthy wetness. No offerings of gear. Unlike the clearing, the chamber holds no objects, packs, or remnants of tools. This place feels more like a post than a lair. Stone laid out. The chamber is oval-shaped, about 15 feet wide, narrowing again into another low passage at the far end, descending further into the dark. Tharra crouches near the wall, her hand hovering just above the carved spirals. You're making seer symbols. Guard and herald both. If these go deeper, it means more of them, or worse, below. Let's follow the carvings deeper into the cave. You and Tharra move past the scraped sigils, following the low passage where the tunnel narrows again. The stone is damp and uneven, forcing you into a crouch as you descend further. The air grows warmer, the metallic tang mixed now with the sharp smell of mineral water. More spirals and jagged carvings score the walls, fresh grooves overlaying older ones. Some lines gleam wet as if carved only hours ago. After about 30 feet, the passage widens into another chamber. This one is smaller, nearly circular, with a low ceiling dripping condensation. In the center lies a shallow stone basin, filled with dark water that faintly ripples despite no visible source. The sigils cover every inch of the chamber walls, their lines converging subtly toward the basin. Tharra's whisper is barely audible. This isn't just a guard post. It's a sanctum. Water's not natural. Look. The ripples pulse outward slowly, steady as a heartbeat, though nothing touches the surface. The chamber is otherwise silent, save for the drip of water and your breathing. Inspect the chamber closely. Your light source is going to be from Tharra and the torch she's holding. The chamber comes alive under the tremble of Tharra's torchlight. Shadows bend across the wet stone, stretching the caved spirals into shapes that seems to writhe when you move your eyes. The basin at the center reflects dim orange, the ripples distorting the flame into jagged shards. As you look closer, the water seems to resist clarity. It's not muddy, but more like glass forged from the inside. On the walls, the carvings reveal layered inscriptions. Some are shallow scratches, crude and hurried. Others are deliberate, cut deep and filled with mineral sheen, pulsing faintly in the light. They all converge toward the basin like tributaries of a river. Along the floor near the far wall, there are signs of disturbance. Small fragments of bones, scattered ash, and what might be the remains of burned herbs. Faint iron tang mixes with a mineral smell, sharper near the basin. Tharra narrows her eyes, torch held low. These marks. Someone's been here recently. More than once. This isn't abandoned. The ripples in the water answer her words with a slow, steady pulse, as though the basin itself breathes. Deeper, always. Go deep. The carvings taper into a narrow passage. The ceiling lowers, forcing you and Tharra to stoop slightly as you proceed. The torchlight catches droplets clinging to the jagged stone, dripping rhythmically into the deeper dark. The air here is heavier, thick with a reek of damp earth and scorched resin, as though smoke still clings to the walls long after the fire had died. As the passage opens into a new chamber, you see a wider cavern whose walls are layered with black soot as if scorched by flame. Stone pillars naturally formed, but etched over with the same spirals and wounds as the outer chamber. Some glow faintly. Shards of bone and pottery litter the floor, arranged in deliberate circles. At the far end, a rough-hewn altar, its surface smeared with something dark and dried. Above it, the rock face bears a larger, more intricate carving, a spiral enclosing an eye. The faint hum you heard earlier grows stronger, resonating in your chest, as if the cave itself is amplifying some unseen voice. Tharra leans close, whispering through her teeth. I don't like this. Someone carved purpose into this place. What do you think we should do here? I mean, can you think of any arcane practitioner who can deal with these things? Tharra lowers the torch slightly, the firelight casting sharp shadows across her scarred face. She studies the writhing sigils etched into the stone, jaw tightening. These markings, they aren't the work of hedge witches or wandering druids. This is cult work, old and deliberate. I know of one who might help. A wizard. He studies glyphs, but calling him here or reaching him will take time, and I doubt we have much of that. She exhales, glancing further into the dark. The choice is simple. We press deeper and risk what's behind these carvings, or we leave and bring word to someone who knows how to dismantle such things. If you want a priest, Parnas has none strong enough. The cave hums faintly, the sigils pulsing like veins of molten stone. I slow down my breathing and try to focus on the sensation. to see if I can decode whatever message it may hold. The pulse of sigils presses against your senses like a heartbeat. You steady your breath and lean into the rhythm, trying to decipher what lies beneath the glow. Arcana check. Carvings are suffused with old power, not raw magic, but a deliberate invocation. Grasp the fragments of meaning hidden in the pulse, whether it's a warning, prayer, or a binding. It's not good enough. The pulse gnaws at the edge of your mind, but your grasp slips. The sigils remain mostly opaque to you. All your sense is tension, as if the carvings are not meant to reveal knowledge, but to hold something back. The rhythm feels wrong, not like a prayer, but a containment, the beating of a lock around whatever lies deeper inside the cave. Tharra lowers her torch, whispering, "This magic is old, stranger, beyond me. But I think it binds, not blesses." Floor plan layout of the chamber. Shape chamber is roughly oval, about 30 feet wide at its broadest point and 40 feet deep. The ceiling rises unevenly between 10 and 15 feet high, with jagged stone and patches of mineral sheen. A narrow tunnel, the one you and Tharra entered from, opens along the south wall, about 5 feet wide, sloping slightly downward into the chamber. The ground here is uneven, with scattered gravel. Central area. At the chamber's center, carved directly into the floor, lies a circle of interlocking sigils. These markings glow faintly with a red pulsing hue when looked at too long, stretching in jagged lines toward the walls like cracks in glass. North wall. Opposite the entrance, there is a rough stone alcove about 8 feet deep. The carvings intensified here, converging into a spiral, as though this is the focus point of the entire design. The air here feels heavier, colder, almost pressing in. Scattered bones, animal, possibly humanoid, litter corners of the chamber, half buried in dust. The The faint smell of charred incense lingers, suggesting past rituals. Water drips steadily from the eastern wall, leaving a slick patch across the floor. Try to identify the dark, dry smear on the outer. Medicine. Okay, the 15 again left. I didn't discard the roll. 15 plus. Oh, it was 3. That's such crazy medicine. What the fuck? Your trained eye quickly makes sense of the dark smear upon the altar. Dried material isn't mere dirt or sap. It's blood. Human blood. Dried, thick, brown, black with time. The way it streaks rather than pools suggests ritual use. Deliberately smeared rather than spilled. The quantity is enough that it wasn't just a single shallow cut. Someone was bled here, perhaps as a part of the sacrifice or initiation. The smear has an oily residue around the edges, carrying a faint acrid tang, mixed with an alchemical agent or resin to preserve its presence longer. This isn't a casual killing wound. It was part of a rite, performed with intent. In a corner of medicine check, chose recognize the physical material in the mixture of blood resources, neutral additives, sense the ritual function of the condition, what the concoction is meant to achieve in magical terms. Yes! Talking about. The mixture on the altar is not just blood, there's a deliberate ritual alchemy to it. You send traces of powder bone and nightshade root blended into the smear, stabilizing blood's magical resonance. This isn't random, it's crafted to bind life force to the carvings onto the chamber walls. It's a ritual matrix meant to empower or sustain something rather than summon it outright. The resonance feels faint now, as though depleted, but still lingering. Medicine. Looking closely at the clotted texture, you identify blood from multiple donors, human most likely, though diluted with something thinner, perhaps goat or deer blood to bulk the quantity. The darkened crust suggests the ritual has been repeated often, layering blood upon blood over weeks or months. Some smears are fresher than others, maybe just a few days old. In short, this altar isn't for a one-time rite. It's a long-term blood rite designed to charge or anchor a magical effect through repeated sacrifice. You and Tharra sweep the chamber carefully. The torchlight glints across rough-hewn walls, broken only by the carved sigils. You circle the altar first, then extend a search along each wall. Tharra runs her hand lightly across the stone, listening for hollow resonance. After several minutes of searching, you find northeast wall, a fissure narrow but navigable. Narrow but navigable, where the soot is thickest. It looks like smoke has escaped through here before. The gap leads to a darker, twisting passage, descending at a slope. Loose stones piled deliberately in a corner, partially concealing what might be another crawl space. The stones are recent, no dust settled, suggesting it was arranged by hand. South end. Near the entrance you came in, no other exit. Just crawl-like scrapes trailing back toward the outer cave, marking the creature's restless movements. Tharra mutters, 2 ways deeper. Smoke fissure or hidden crawl. Neither's promising. Shows recent passage and puts dragged objects or blood trails. Observation alone. Investigation check. Yeah, that's like +1. Not good. Pork roast. Fencing, scuff, disturbed dust, blood smears, and dragged objects in the fissure. Freshly shaped stones, hand oils, hidden tool at the crawl space. Oh, advantage. Search around the chamber with Tharra's help. Reveals the following. The narrow smoke fissure, it bears faint black streaks along its edges. No recent disturbance, no scuffs, no shifted soot. It looks like the smoke is natural seepage, not something regularly traveled. Stone blocked crawl space. The dust near its base is slightly disturbed. You notice a single stone has been shifted not long ago. Faint oil from fingers and a small reddish smear along the edge. Someone pushed through here, likely dragging something. Crossbait seems the most promisingly, those tied and deliberately obstructed. Tharra whispers, someone went through here not long ago. Crawl in. Deeper. The crawlspace yawns before you, half blocked with rough stones. The gap is just wide enough for you to squeeze through on your stomach, though it scrapes at your armor and clothing. You wriggle inside. Dust coats your hands, but fresh scuff marks guide you further, dragging lines at you as though something heavy was pulled ahead. The stone ceiling lowers until you nearly have to press your cheek against the cold floor to keep moving. After 10 feet, the crawlspace opens into a cramped pocket chamber. The air is heavier here, tinged with metallic tang. Against the far wall rests a splintered wooden crate, smeared with dried blood. Within it lie tattered cloth and a broken iron shackle. The pin snapped. The sigils you saw earlier trail faintly into this pocket, though less carefully drawn, as if someone scrawled them in haste. From outside the tunnel, Tharra's muffled voice carries. So I pull out my own torch now. I whip out my own torch, and I call back to Tharra. I'm good. Wait for me there. Then I look around to see if there's any doorway leading anywhere. The cramped chamber is roughly circular, no more than 10 feet across. Your torchlight flickers against jagged stone, casting long shadows. The splintered crate and broken shackle sit at the center, but as you circle the walls carefully, you find no proper doorway or tunnel leading deeper in. Instead, your light catches a narrow fissure in the stone, no wider than the span of 2 hands. The crack seems natural, not carved, and disappears into darkness after a few feet. Cold air drifts faintly from it, carrying the smell of damp earth and something faintly acrid. Scratched near the fissure are hurried sigils, crudely drawn, almost desperate. Unlike those in larger chambers, these look unstable, lines uneven, their purpose unclear. From outside the crawlspace, Tharra calls again, her voice sharper this time. Still breathing in there? I'm fine. I whisper back and inspect the fissure by sticking the torch inside. The torchlight slips into the fissure, its glow stretching into a cramped throat of stone. The space within is uneven, jagged, forcing the light to warp and cast restless shadows. You can see only a short distance, perhaps 5 or 6 feet, before the fissure bends sharply left, hiding whatever lies beyond. The rock is rough, damp in patches, glistening with moisture that trickles down like sweat. The acrid smell grows stronger here, acrid and metallic, faintly like burnt copper. As the flame flickers against the inner wall, some of the sigils scrawled around the crack seems to shimmer unnaturally. reacting faintly to the firelight. The symbols distort for an instant, as though bending away from the flame, but then settle back to inert scratches. The air is still, save for that cold draft sliding out. From deeper in the stone, you hear a single subtle sound, like a drip of water, echoing faintly, then silence again. The fissure splits you back into the chamber's damp, torch-lit breath. The air feels looser here, less suffocating than the cramped stone throat you had just crawled into. Your hands are streaked with damp grit, and your torch smokes faintly from where the wall scraped against it. Tharra watches you carefully, her torch still lifted, eyes narrowed in concern. The light dances across the altar. The smeared blood and the soot darken sigil, throwing everything into stark, uneasy relief. The sound from within the fissure, dripping water, metallic and faint, lingers in your ears, though here in the open chamber it is swallowed almost entirely by silence. The only other sound, the hiss of the torch and Tharra's low voice. "You're back in one piece. Well?" she says, her words taut but hushed, as if afraid the stone itself might overhear. The chamber remains still, but the oppressive sense of something unseen waiting deeper within presses faintly against your awareness. So I tell Tharra what I found in the pocket of, like the small pocket, and that we should get out of here. And I think it's fine time to go back and check on the cultists. Tharra listens to your hurried explanation, her brow tightening as the words sink in. She doesn't argue. She simply nods, grips her torch more firmly, and falls into step with you. The two of you move quickly but carefully back through the winding passage, retracing your way past the outer chamber, past the smeared sigil and creature's corpse. The oppressive aura of the cave seems to press harder the closer you get to living it. Like the place itself resents your escape. Shadows warp and stretch along the walls, torchlight twitching nervously across damp stone. At last, the cave mouth yawns open ahead. Cold mountain air pours in, slicing away the stifling weight of the underground. Tharra breathes out slowly, her shoulders relaxing only once the forest surrounds you again. She douses the torch against the earth, smoke rising like a final exhalation from the cave's dark gullet. "Best we leave it be for now," she mutters, voice carrying a rough edge of unease. "Whatever sleeps in there isn't ready to be disturbed. And I'd rather not find out what wakes it." The tree line rustles faintly in the wind, the world outside feeling alive again. On the way out, I scooped a vial of black substance, black liquid, in a basin from the second chamber. You carefully scoop some of the thick black substance from the basin into an empty vial. The liquid resists, clinging to the stone lip before sliding in like tar. Even under torchlight, it doesn't shine. Light seems to sink into it instead, dulling its edges. As the vial fills, the glass grows noticeably colder in your hand. The smell that rises is faint, like scorched iron mixed with damp moss. A sickly blend that makes your stomach tighten. For a moment, you swear the substance quivers inside the container, as if it's aware of being taken. Tharra watches you grimly, muttering under her breath. Careful with that. Feels like something best left buried. But maybe someone will know. The vial now sits heavy in your pack. The blackness within unnervingly still. Arcana check. That's a lot of Arcana check. Not particularly, but at least we got over 10. We might be able to spot something, but it's unlikely. The DC should be high for this. Gives you only a faint grasp of the black substance nature. Liquid is not natural, it reacts to presence. It seemed to quiver when you drew it, suggesting some form of arcane resonance. You a faint pull at the edge of your thoughts, as if the substance wants to be used, though you can't determine how. Its unnatural chill and light-absorbing quality suggests it's connected to shadow or necrotic magic. Necrotic magic. The faint smell of scorched iron hints at a blood component, perhaps mixed with ash or bone dust. With a limited role, you can pin down full properties and what is it? It's ritualistic nature, not random. Likely intent as a catalyst or fuel for summoning curses or ward breaking. Mishandling it could be dangerous. Prolonged contact might cause harm. Worse, influence your mind. Tharra eyes the vial uneasily. I don't like the way it moves. Better we find someone with deeper knowledge before we test it. I put the vial into my pack. We are now at the entrance, at the opening of the cave. So I went to dig up the crystal, put it in the pack also, and then head back to the clearing where the cultists are being tied up. Let's see. This is where it ends. Two of you step out of the cave into the pale daylight. The torchlight fades against the crisp mountain air. You dig up the bush where you'd hidden the crystal, dirt sliding easily away. Its surface glimmers faintly as you tuck it into your pack alongside the sealed vial of black liquid. Both objects weigh heavier than they should. as though carrying them presses against your very thoughts. Back at the clearing, the scene hasn't shifted much. The two surviving cultists remains bound to the rocks. The wounded one looks pale but alive thanks to your patchwork bandaging. The other sits rigid, testing the ropes in futile silence. Tharra rests her bow casually across her lap, leaning against the tree. When she notices you approach, her eyes flick to your pack, then back to the captives. Got them both. Whatever you found in there too. Question is, do we march them back to partners, or squeeze more answer out of them before word spreads? The cultists glance up as you return, their faces a mixture of fear and simmering hate. To further here, for your judgment.